Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this week at First Pres. Many of you probably know this, but one of my primary roles in ministry areas is discipleship. And so I thought I would take some time this afternoon just to bring you up to date on some of the things that are happening in the discipleship ministry and how we're continuing to work, to develop, to assist you on this journey, particularly during this unusual season that we're in. You probably have heard us talk over the last couple of months about G3 Groups. G3 Groups is a ministry that we intended to begin this fall. It is a ministry that has small groups in them, and they are particularly suited to working through particular areas of brokenness in people's lives. So there may be an addiction that someone needs to address, or there may be some codependency issues or some financial issues, parenting, marriage, just a whole plethora of different areas of our life that sometimes all of us struggle with at one time or another. And so these groups are designed to bring the gospel to bear on those particular areas of brokenness and help each other as we walk through that brokenness and watch the Holy Spirit work in our lives and heal us. Now, we've decided that we're going to put this off until at least January of 2021. It's a new ministry, and we really want to have all of our efforts together, and this type of ministry and these type of groups will work best when you're live, when you're in person and you're meeting all 10 of you or all 8 of you in one context, and you're able to see each other and talk with one another. And that's just not possible right now during this COVID season. So we're going to continue to work to train our facilitators to continue to build this ministry, and you'll be hearing more and more about it from us through the website and other means like this week at First Pres. So I want to have that on your radar. But we are going to push it back a bit for this season. Secondly, many of you may not know that First Pres is involved in a ministry, a seminary called City View. City View began 3 years ago as an extension of our desire to train men and women in pastoral ministry and ministry leadership in our community, in the CSRA. The days for many are gone when they can leave everything and go off to seminary for 3 or 4 years. More and more, the local church is becoming the hub, which it originally was prior to the Reformation, the way in which ministry leaders were trained. They were connected to churches. They were connected to ministry leaders. And so that's what City View's desire is. That's what the goal, the vision, and the mission of City View is to train local men and women for ministry. We are just beginning our new class next week. We're excited about that. Let me just ask you to go to our website, cityviewseminary.org. And you'll find all the information there about the seminary, when the classes are. This is not just for people who are going into pastoral ministry or even just ministry leaders. You may be in the marketplace, you may be a stay-at-home mom, but you want to know more, you want to dig deeper into the Scriptures, you want to learn more about your faith, you want to learn more about theology, you want to learn more about the church and how the church has operated over the last couple of thousand years. If that's you, City View Seminary may be for you, and I want to encourage you to check it out. Thirdly, I just want to remind you that in October of this year, we will have our Women's Fall Conference. You can find out more about that special event on our website at www.firstpresaugusta.org. The last thing that I want to talk to you about this afternoon is our fall Bible study kickoff. Now, you probably know from the last couple of years, we have brought in some amazing speakers. We have moved our kickoff from a Wednesday night to our joint Sunday school hour between the two services in the morning in order to say, this is very important. This is an important piece and part of your discipleship journey should you choose to be involved in one of these discipleship groups. This year is no exception. Now, granted, times are different, and our groups are not going to meet in person. We're going to meet virtually, but most of the groups that we had originally have been meeting this past spring virtually through Zoom, and it has worked quite well for them. So we're excited that we want to move forward in our discipleship through small group Bible studies. This fall, we're going to tackle an Old Testament book, and it's the book of Ecclesiastes. And you might be wondering, well, why Ecclesiastes? I think I would want to say, why not? What an amazing book in the Bible to look at during this particular time. Time of COVID, time of social distancing, time of isolation, time of asking questions, big questions. And that's what the writer of Ecclesiastes does, ask huge questions like meaning of life questions. In fact, it is arguably the only book in the Bible that teaches philosophy. The rest of the Bible either teaches the life of Christ, or it's the letters of Paul, or it's historical books, wisdom literature, historical narrative in the Old Testament. Ecclesiastes is asking the big questions that you ask in life, like what is the meaning of life? And how do I make sense of what seems to be at times vanity? And that's one of the most famous lines of Ecclesiastes. You know it well. Vanity of vanities, Solomon says, all of life is vanity. Now, if that's where he left you, we would all be in trouble. But it's not where he leaves us. In fact, toward the end of the book, he has some amazing things to say. He says this, he says, where does meaning in life come from, and why does life seem so futile? And he answers that question by saying this: at the end of the day, in this life, it does feel and seem futile. But if you want to make life work, he says, to love God and to keep His commandments. Tommy Nelson wrote a book called A Life Well Lived. It is the textbook that we're going to use. I actually spoke with Tommy and asked Tommy if he would come, and he's not traveling much these days, but he was kind enough to say, what an amazing book to study during this COVID season in our lives. The book of Ecclesiastes, A Life Well Lived. Isn't that what we really want at the end of the day? We want to say our life stood for something, our life meant something, and all of that is encompassed in God's design and desire for you and for me, and that is to have a life well lived in the context of the gospel. So Tommy has written an amazing book. We're going to use that. You can find that information for that book on our website. In fact, you can sign up for a Bible study on our website. There are QR codes there. There's also other ways that you can do that online. And please look for following information on our online newsletter that comes out on Fridays. Also, announcements on Sunday will give you more information about that. Now, the fall Bible study kickoff is going to be 2 weeks from this Sunday, and that will be August the 23rd. We're going to do it in the evening worship service. In fact, we're going to take basically the whole time for our evening worship service and concentrate on this overview of Ecclesiastes. Now, some of you may remember a couple of years ago, one of the Bible studies that we did in the Old Testament was the life and ministry of Elijah. If you remember that, you probably remember who we had come and give us our overview. It was Dr. Brian Beyer, who is a professor of Old Testament at Columbia International University. Brian is so gracious. He has said, yes, I want to come and I want to give an overview of Ecclesiastes. So at 6:30 on August the 23rd, Dr. Beyer will be here to give us an overview. He is an amazing speaker. He takes groups to the Holy Land every year, a couple of times a year. He understands the context of the land of Israel, and he understands the theology, and he has an amazing way of delivering that information to you and to me. So I am so excited that Dr. Beyer is going to be here. And so I want to encourage you to be here on the 23rd at 6:30 p.m. for this overview. We'll be inside. He has a wonderful PowerPoint presentation that he's going to use. We'll have St. Andrews open in other places as well if we need to do that so that we can social distance. Now, speaking of social distancing, you may recall that at the end of June we were going to have this outside service and we were going to have this great ice cream party. There was a spike in the COVID-19 crisis and we weren't able to do that. But we're going to do it on the night of the 23rd. So when Dr. Beyer finishes around 7:30 on August the 23rd, we're going to invite all of you outside into the plaza area where we're going to provide you with ice cream. Now, I just happen to have one of the little cups, and you can see they're all self-contained here. This vanilla is amazing. We're also going to have those little, you probably remember those little wooden spoons, not this plastic spoon, but a little wooden spoon that's self-contained as well. So we're going to take care of you from a health standpoint, but we want you to enjoy fellowship with one another. So we're going to have that out in the plaza area. There'll be waters that you can pick up as well. And it'll just be a time for you to fellowship with one another. So we want you to bring your whole family, all your kids, let them learn some about Ecclesiastes and then enjoy either some vanilla ice cream or some chocolate and just spend some time with one another. So the discipleship ministry, I hope you can see, is hard at work week in, week out, trying to provide opportunities for you to grow in your faith. We love this God. He loves us, and we want to learn more about Him. And as we learn more about Him and we grow in our faith in Him, it's going to change us. It's going to continue to change us. And maybe this life that sometimes seems like vanity of vanities will find a bit more meaning for you and me. I hope you'll join us on August the 23rd, 6:30, Dr. Brian Beyer on Ecclesiastes and some ice cream as well. Take care. God bless.